Assad's government to seek an end to the crackdown on civilians. Figures released by the United Nations estimate that more than 3,000 pro-democracy demonstrators have been killed by the Syrian forces. CNN's Rima Maktabi reports on recent developments in Damascus.
Really, the highlight of news has been this famous statement for the King of Jordan. He told Assad, if I were you, I would have stepped down. This is unprecedented, coming from an Arab leader to another. Anyway, this is a wrap-up of all the political developments. The videos smuggled out of Syria chronicle the bloodshed. The UN estimates as many as 3,500 people have been killed and thousands injured as the unrest grinds into an 8th month. International media are largely banned from reporting in Syria, so video like this one leaked over the weekend by Syrian activists remains one of the few ways to glimpse what is happening inside the country, as the government tries to silence dissent against 4 decades of rule by President Bashar Assad's family. But the Syrian government cannot control criticism from outside. In a BBC interview, King Abdullah of Jordan, Syria's neighbor, didn't mince his words.
If Bashar has the interest of his country, he would step down, but he would also create an ability to reach out and start a new phase of Syrian political life.
If President Assad didn't get that hint, the rest of the Arab League hasn't been any friendlier. The League voted over the weekend to suspend Syria from membership. By suspending Syria, the Arab League has opened the door for the international community to impose sanctions. The move was quickly applauded by Western diplomats.
I think it's very good that the Arab League are taking a leading role on this crisis.
Not the view in Damascus, where pro-Assad protesters raided the Saudi, Qatari, French and Turkish embassies. And Syrian Foreign Minister Walid al-Muallim dismissed the Arab League's decision as a conspiracy cooked up by Gulf countries and the US.
The Arab League's decision on suspending Syria's membership and the other provisions it has included constitute a very dangerous step on the present and future joint Arab action and on the goals and role of the Arab League. First of all, I assure you and assure our people that the Libyan scenario will not be repeated.
And just as Walid Muallim was using this televised news conference to promise calm diplomacy and yet another national dialogue, a Syrian activist in Homs told CNN via Skype that the army's crackdown continues in the city.
They shooting people and targeted buildings and innocent people. They don't differentiate between men or women or child.
The EU now has sanctions in place against 74 members of Bashar al-Assad's inner circle. But even with mounting international pressure, a UN Security Council resolution to protect civilians is still to materialize. Will protect the civilians in Syria? This is really the question, Zain.
Hopeless, jobless, penniless. In Spain, thousands of young people are leaving school and entering a world without hope. 45% of young people are out of job, and some of them are even calling themselves the lost generation. CNN's Al Goodman looks at how these young people get by when the economy is in such a bad shape.
Zain, well, we're just days ahead of the national elections on Sunday, when Spaniards will go to the polls to vote for a new government, a new parliament, essentially a new prime minister. And as you can imagine, with 21.5% unemployment overall, 45% for young people, the economy is really the only issue. We were just in the historic city of Toledo near Madrid to talk to some of the people who are in this dire situation. Let's have a listen to this report. Juan Jose Carrasa has lots of time to take care of his chickens. He's been unemployed for 2 years, one of nearly 5 million jobless in Spain. 3 fresh eggs help stretch a tight budget for his family. And he says there's another problem, his heart condition, which cost him his last job as a waiter.
Even if you look for a job, it is very hard to find one, because so many people are out of work. The truth is, you don't know where to turn.
He's had to move back to his childhood home, but his wife is also unemployed. In nearly 1.5 million Spanish households, all working-age adults are jobless. In Spain's deep economic crisis, keeping a roof over your head is a huge challenge for the jobless. Carasa's family has already fallen behind on the mortgage payments for this home. It's near the medieval city of Toledo, an hour south of Madrid, where the line forms every weekday morning at the unemployment office. These are the early risers. Carasa comes later to request jobless benefits on top of $570 in monthly disability for his heart condition. Outside, we meet Nerea Romero, just 18. She's been looking for work as a nail manicurist for 2 years. 45% of Spanish youth are jobless. The economic crisis has pushed the opposition Conservative Party far ahead of the incumbent socialists in the polls leading up to Sunday's elections for prime minister. Nerea says she'll vote conservative.
This crisis will take years to fix, but I think the conservatives can solve some of it. That's what we hope.
Across town, this union leader says Spain needs a new economic model, not so reliant on construction, which during the boom years enticed young people to drop out of school for good jobs before going bust when credit got expensive.
The young people who worked in construction without finishing school are now unemployed without an education, making it more difficult to get back in.
Carasa finally comes out with bad news. He's told he won't get jobless benefits because he's collecting disability.
They tell me no. It's too much. I didn't expect this.
He says he can't give up. He's got 3 kids to support, and he's just 23 years old. Zane, as you can see, the crisis in Spain, enough to make a grown man cry, as we've just seen there, and there may be more pain to come in Spain ahead.
We'll go for another break. We'll be back soon. Well, before we draw the curtains on this edition of the news, a look once again at our headlines. President Jammeh is visiting communities in rural Gambia to thank voters there for the 5-year mandate handed to him in 2006. The opposition candidates in the November 24th presidential race, Hamad Ba and Ousseynou Dabo, have been courting voters in the metropolis with priority programs and interventions. Sections of Spain's Legion of Unemployed Young People have given themselves the unenviable name of the Lost Generation. And the Jordanian king has added his voice to growing calls for President Bashar al-Assad's departure from Syria's political scene. Well, you can also follow that story and other GRTS programs live on our website at www.grts.gm. There you can also monitor GRTS Radio Live. That does it for this newscast. Thanks for the pleasure of your company, and this way you enjoy our rest of programs. Thank you.
GRTS Digital FM on 98.6 and 102.6, the best FM station in town, where you can capture hundreds and thousands of potential customers with a wider coverage around the country. Advertise today and get your targeted customers. For more information, call 9933-263, 9957255, or 4497331 and 9906445. GRTS Digital FM.